Hello, hello. We back, baby. Episode 6. Episode 6 already of the Bentley Show. I am your host, Scott Bentley. Today, we got plenty to talk about. Per usual. We have plenty to talk about. We're going to start with the Tigers. PECOTA dropped their preseason projections. That's the word. Standing projections. They're slowly releasing their projections for individual players as well, so we'll get into those. But for today, we're just going to talk about their projections for the Detroit Tigers team in the year 2021 and what they think we are going to look like. Then we made a couple of nice under-the-radar minor league signings that I like that we'll touch on. The Pistons, we're going to talk about that Nets game, baby. That Brooklyn Nets game that happened last night. Phenomenal game. We'll talk all about that. The Wings, we'll talk about the loss to the Florida Panthers. The good, the bad, the ugly. There's a lot of ugly because we are still not a very good hockey team. And the Lions hired another coach, and we're going to dap into Kenny Golladay's future with the team. So, again, thank you so much for listening. That's the word. Thank you so much for listening. Welcome back. I am Scott Bentley. This is episode 6 of the Bentley Show. Let's get started. The Detroit Tigers are not good. As most of you know, we are not a very good baseball team. We are not very good in any of these four sports currently, which makes fandom very difficult. So, PECOTA, for those who don't know, named after a former player, but it's also an acronym that explains their formula. It's just that's the name they picked. It's both. It's an acronym and named after a former player, but essentially it's a bunch of baseball math nerds like myself that project team success and individual player success from season to season. It's super interesting. They've made a very legit name for themselves in the baseball community. Baseball Prospectus, I believe, owns them now. It's fun, man. It's super fun. It always starts a really good debate, and that's obviously what I love to do more than anything. If you ask Keith Law of The Athletic, he will tell you that I am, a POS that just insults and mocks everyone. But truly, I just like to have conversations about sports, thus this platform. But anyway, not going to spend any more of my day worrying about Keith Law's opinion of me. That's taken up enough time. So we are going to dive into it. The PECOTA rankings for the Detroit Tigers. So basically how they do their team rankings is they run a boatload. I don't even know the exact number actually, but a ton of simulations. And then they take the average record of all of those simulations, and that's the projected record for the team. It's like hundreds of simulations though. It's a lot. It might even be more than that. So the Detroit Tigers, they have projected as the 4th worst team in baseball. The only people they have worse, they have the Rockies for starters. The Rockies, they actually have projected as the worst team in baseball. Now, a couple of things about PECOTA. One, they really, and this is no slight on it whatsoever. This is just how their formula generally looks. They really like offense over pitching. Your pitching staff can be relatively weak, but if you have a solid offense, PECOTA is going to love you, okay? And just like any simulation, in any formula, any stat, some stats and formulas are going to benefit certain types of players than others. So this is no different. Some players you look and you're like, damn, I didn't really think they were like that. But, PECOTA likes some players and doesn't like some players, and likes some teams and doesn't like some teams. So even though most people kind of think the Pirates will be the worst team in baseball, PECOTA is out here saying that it's going to be the Rockies, and they actually have the Rockies projected to lose like I think a full game or almost just under a full game um, more than Pittsburgh, which considering how many simulations they run is honestly a pretty big margin between the 30th team and the 29th team. That's pretty healthy. So Colorado's the worst at 100, just under. Because there's so many simulations, they have decimals, right? Because that's how averages work. So at 30th, they have the Colorado Rockies with 101.7 losses. At 29, they have the Pittsburgh Pirates at 100.9 losses. And then the 28th ranked team is 5 whole wins better than the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Pittsburgh Pirates. So you have Colorado and Pittsburgh in a league of their own of awfulness, according to PECOTA. And then 28, 27, 26 are 28 Baltimore, 95.7. 27 Detroit, 95.4. So only 0.3 of a loss lower. And then 26 is Texas with 94.8, which is 0.6 of a loss lower than us. So they kind of have broken up into tiers. They have Colorado and Pittsburgh being, and also another thing about PECOTA, rarely do they have a team project. You have to be really good or really bad to be over 100 wins or over 100 losses in PECOTA. Even the best teams in baseball most years are projected at like 98 wins, and even the worst teams, the bottom dwellers of history, generally only get projected to be 98, 99 losses. It takes a special kind of horrible to be over 100, and they have 2 over 100. So that really tells you the current state of those two franchises. And then at the top, they have the Dodgers at like almost 103 wins, which is unreal. And the most unreal thing about it is that is super rare for PECOTA to have a team with that many wins. And on top of that, it's probably underselling the Dodgers. That's how good the Dodgers are. That you can look at 103 and be like, damn, that never happens with this website. But also, they're probably going to win even more than that if they stay healthy. Like, the Dodgers are unreal. So, we currently are projected to be 27th, 95.4 losses, according to PECOTA. Look, I'll say right now, if the Detroit Tigers, given how this roster looks right now, if we finish 6 games ahead of anyone, I don't care if it's the Pirates, the Rockies, or your mother, if they finish 6 games ahead of anyone, I will pour boiling hot water over my head. There is no way. There's no way. This team blows. This team is still horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. And look, it's crazy for me to be saying that they're overshooting on 95.5 losses. But unless we have a lot of signings left to do, which we don't, I don't see how this team loses less than 100 games. I don't. I do not see a world where this team has 99 or fewer losses with this current roster. Now, maybe the Rockies or the Pirates put together a 2019 Tigers and lose damn near 115 games or something ridiculous. Then we might be talking about possibly, maybe we can beat one of those teams by 6 games. But I don't see how I don't see it. This team is horrible. I don't want to keep just reiterating myself, but this team is very, very, very bad. I think a lot of stuff would have to go right for us to be in that low 90s win range. That being said, we made a couple of signings that I actually really liked, and I don't want to drain the optimism out of people, because just because we don't win a lot of games doesn't mean that a lot of good stuff is not happening on the diamond. There's going to be a lot of prospects pitching. Well, we mostly have pitchers. There's going to be a lot of prospects playing this year. That'll be super exciting. There's a lot of, as we're about to dive into, there's several signings that I think are super interesting and are super could actually be pieces that are part of this rebuild going forward and are part of the future plans for this team. I'm not going to come on here and say anybody's going to be like a JD Martinez, but I think there is a possibility that, there's a couple of signings we made that I like, that I can get behind. Okay, first off, Greg Garcia was signed to a minor league contract. I'm going to assume 99% of people listening to this have no idea who Greg Garcia is, because I would say 99% of people in the world don't know who Greg Garcia is. Greg Garcia, utility infielder. He has played for the Cardinals and the Padres. Most recently, the Padres, I believe. And look, he's a utility infielder. That's always nice to have. Sure, why not? That being said, he actually, at a base level, it doesn't look like he can hit. You look at his stats and you go, wow, this dude can't hit. What are we doing? But looking at his offensive numbers a little more in depth, he draws walks like a MFer. He draws walks like crazy, which is dope. I love that. Especially as a guy who comes off the bench, who's not an everyday starter. He can come in. His ground ball rate is like over 50%. He's not going to hit for power. He's not going to hit the ball out of the infield really most times. He's just going to spike it in the ground and hoping gets through and finds a hole. That being said, when you're walking, in 2019 he was in the 94th percentile in walks. I love it. That's fantastic. Anyone who can provide utility at all infield positions as well as draw walks is going to hold value. So I like the signing. I really do. He's probably, if we play a full season, assuming we do, he's probably going to play like 60 to 75 games. Just going to come in, be a solid bench option when someone needs a day off. He's not a plus defender, but he's not a negative defender really at any position. He's pretty net zero, pretty mediocre defensively. So he's not going to hinder you defensively, and he's going to come in, he's going to get on base. To quote Moneyball, do I care if it's a walk or a hit? No, I do not. So I'm all for it. That's a signing I really like, actually. Do I think he's going to turn into some monster at the plate? No. His ceiling is probably utility infielder. That can come in, get you a couple ABs, and maybe draw a walk ahead of your RBI guys. But I'm fine with it. I'm totally fine with it. The other signing we had, this one I'm extremely excited about. The Detroit Tigers have come to a minor league agreement with Renato Nunez. I'm assuming most people also don't know who Renato Nunez is. He played a lot of first base for the Baltimore Orioles last year. The Orioles had a surprisingly decent 2020. It was a shortened season, I know, but the fact remains they actually had a surprisingly pretty productive year, especially offensively. Jose Iglesias was like Barry Bonds for half the season. And Renato Nunez is one of the reasons that they did so well at the plate. He had an incredible season. His WRC plus was 120. Phenomenal. He had 12 homers in 2020, 31 homers in a full 2019 season. Looking at his Baseball Savant page, which is like one of the greatest websites of all time. Looking at his Baseball Savant page, you'll see a lot of blue, which, look, at the end of the day, he got DFA'd by the Baltimore Orioles. So, don't think that we're getting some, guy who's going to step up and be an all-star immediately. Like he was cut by one of the worst teams in the sport. Do not get that twisted. That being said, we literally don't have a first baseman. We don't. We literally do not have anyone to play the position of first base. So am I happy with this? Abso-freaking-lutely. His weighted on base was mediocre. He strikes out a lot. He whiffs quite a bit. He doesn't walk a ton, but he also isn't like Jonathan Scope bad at drawing walks. Like he'll get his walks, 7% walk rate, I want to say. Hard hit is average. His expected slugging is in the 55th percentile, which is pretty good. The biggest thing here is his barrel percentage. In 2019 was 75th percentile, and in 2020 was the 80th percentile. This dude finds barrels for a living. He barrels balls up for a living. It's what he does, and he does it incredibly well. He's going to have some pop. He's going to have some pop at the plate. We have no one to play first base. He's probably going to make the team out of camp. He's probably going to be the starting first baseman relatively early on in the year. He's going to bring us some pop. He's not going to hit for an incredible average. He's really not even going to hit for a lot of extra base hits. I mean, his expected slugging was decent. He's going to... He's not going to hit for a high average. He's not going to be a BABIP guy. But that being said, he hit ball far, and he finds the barrel of the bat really well. Like better than 80% of baseball for 2 years in a row. So it's not a fluke of a 2020 thing. I really like this move. He's only 26. I think he genuinely could be a part of at a bare minimum, be a placeholder until we're competitive again. And if everything goes according to plan, could even be, a DH when Miggy retires type, or a low-end first baseman if the rest of the lineup is solid. I really like this move. I think it has a lot, it's a high upside move. It has a lot of potential to be good. And it's a minor league deal. So if he flops, it does not even freaking matter. So that'll do it for the Detroit Tigers. The Detroit basketball Pistons. What a game. We take down having the Brooklyn Nets. We take down the Nets. Oh, we took them down. What a great game. Everybody looked fantastic. We took him down 122 to 111, I want to say. Great game of basketball. Everyone played well. Blake could have shot a little better, I guess, but pretty much everyone killed it. And yes, the Nets were without KD. Ask me if I care, because I don't, okay? They still had Harden and Kyrie. And it was Bruce Brown coming back. Oh, I miss that man so much. What a great game of basketball. For starters, the defense looked pretty solid. Isaiah Stewart is... I want to marry him. I love him. He looked very good defensively this game, which he's always going to get. He's proving to be a very solid rebounder and a guy that's going to get a lot of rebounds for a very long time. Okay, but he's needed to work on his defensive ability a little bit, and obviously has needed to work on his offense quite a bit. It all came together this game. He shot well. He had good opportunities. He got his boards, and he played really good defense down low. It's maybe his best game of his career so far. He looked phenomenal. I think, I think the ceiling is so high for him, man. I am so excited for him, and it makes me so happy whenever he does literally anything. I love him to death. The two biggest storylines of this game on the Pistons side, besides just getting the win. A, Saddiq Bey. Saddiq Bey. That kind of rhymed. That was kind of hard. A is Saddiq Bey. Saddiq Bey, if you remember, was traded on draft night was originally technically drafted by the Nets, and then that pick was traded to us. So basically, they traded Saddiq Bey to us. He shot 100% from the field. 3 of 3 from deep. Had 15 points off the bench. Shot 100%. And had a huge 3 late to pretty much put the game out of the reach and bury them. Honestly, he had an insane entire fourth quarter. His fourth quarter was a majority of his scoring. He went nutty. Saddiq Bey, what a revenge game. What a cool moment for him. And like I've praised him before, I think he is built for the league. He is so versatile. He can play the 2 through the 4. I think his ceiling is being able to defend the 2 through the 4. He can kind of bang down low. He showed, he's not going to go up against Jared Allen and dominate him in the post. But he's a guy that if you put a stretch 4 on him, he'll make him pay down low. He proved it. He did it a couple of times in this game. And he's also a great shooter. Has got off to that really hot start shooting threes. And then obviously last night shot 100% from behind the line. So, this guy's built for the league, man. I'm not sure he's ever going to be some MVP all-star, but a 3-and-D guy that can play the 2 through the 4, I'll be damned if that's not extremely valuable to a team. I think he's going to be in the NBA a very long time. And, he's built for the league, man. I really think so. The biggest storyline, though, this probably should be is Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant is you might as well just give him comeback player of the year now. Why do we even have to wait? Not comeback, is most improved, I guess you would even say. It's not really a comeback player of the year thing. Most improved player of the year. That's what I'm trying to say. You might as well give him it now. You might as well. He was good last year. He was really good last year. The Nuggets offered him the same amount of money we did. He had multiple suitors at the price he was signed for. No one expected this. His entire career before Detroit, he had 0 30-point games. He has 5 or 6 this year. He's a great defender. He's pulling up and shooting with the best of them. His versatility is unreal. Today, Brooklyn was definitely his most complete game. I think he had 5 boards, 4 assists. The passing was solid. He's long enough. He's always going to be relevant on the boards. He's an incredible defender. And he's scoring at the best clip. A better clip than anyone ever could have imagined when we signed him. I love him, man. And we need to get him in the freaking All-Star game because he deserves it. Like hell, he deserves it. Oh my gosh. There's very few people that deserve it more. So we need to vote. Vote. Please, for the love of everything, vote for Jeremy Grant for the All-Star game. What an incredible story. And what an incredible game. Like I said, man, that's one of those games. What are we doing? We have the worst record in the NBA. Yet, almost all of our wins are against, title contenders. We've taken down the Lakers. We've taken down the C's. We've taken down the Nets. Even the game we lost to the Lakers, we took them to double overtime. What are we? This is the best, worst team in NBA history. I know that's been said a ton of times by other people, but it's true. We are the best, worst team ever. It's insane. It is absolutely insane to me how we play to our competition. But you can't even really say that. We just lose to everybody unless Vegas has you as at least 800 to 1 odds to win the title. It's the most insane thing I've ever seen, and I love every second of it because it's getting these these young kids experience against playing against really good teams, getting in the rotation against really good teams, and seeing how to beat really good teams while also maintaining the tank. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm so happy that this is one of the most, how do I even word it? It's some of the most enjoyable Pistons basketball I've watched in, like, anything. Anything. That doesn't make sense. Some of the most enjoyable Pistons basketball I've watched in years. We've been mediocre, hanging in the middle, not rebuilding, not being a contender for a decade. We're finally rebuilding, and it's more fun than the pit of mediocrity and being the 8th seed and getting swept, truly. It's awesome. And I can't wait for Dennis Smith Jr. to roll up and add to it, baby. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Anything else on the Pistons? Vote for Jeremy Grant, please. Vote for Jeremy Grant. Isaiah Stewart is awesome. Wayne Ellington, we still have to wait to see what kind of return he's going to get because he'll absolutely get flipped too. I talked about the Derrick Rose trade in the last one. If you want my opinion of that, I think the Pistons won the trade immensely. Not that the Knicks lost it, but I think our return was very good is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, Wayne Ellington's return will be interesting. That's probably going to happen in the next couple of weeks, I'd imagine. If we can even get a decent second-round pick for that, I will be very happy. Yeah, I think that's it for the Detroit Pistons. Fun game. Very fun game. Fun win. And we move on, baby. The tank continues, but also, if you're thinking about winning a title, your dreams die in Detroit first, okay? It's a rule. All right, the Detroit Hockey Red Wings played the Florida Panthers last night. Not great. Not great. No, like, okay. We've looked a lot worse. Okay, I'm not trying to say that this is far from one of our worst games. We've looked a lot worse historically, in the past 2 years specifically. Even this season, we've looked a lot worse. Here's the thing, and I feel like I've said this a million times, but it keeps remaining to be true. So I'm going to keep saying it until it's wrong. This offense is actually not that bad. This defense is one of the worst things I've ever watched in any area of any sport I've ever rooted for. I hope I got my point across. It's bad, man. It is bad. The Panthers, they didn't even score on it. They had a 4-on-1 at one point last night. How is that even possible? Truly. Think about how unbelievably hard it is to have a 4-on-1 at the NHL level. It wasn't even off a turnover. They were just on neutral ice, and then 4-on-1 wasn't during a line change, wasn't off a turnover, just had a 4-on-1. I just want to personally apologize to Grice in that. And Bernier, but Bernier's hurt currently. What he has to put up with is unbelievable. Like the fact that his save percentage, at one point was over. It might still be, but the second goal last night might have put it under. He's around 90% on the season. The fact that he is even around that is a testament to how good he is between the pipes. Because this defense blows. So, thank you, Thomas Grice, for putting up with this nonsense and keeping your composure in there. That being said, on a more positive note, the offense is actually not bad. It's not. Here's the thing. The offense is just at that point in the rebuild, right, where you You're getting opportunities. We outshot them by 10 last night. 32 shots on 22 shots. We lost 2-1. This is I'm trying to figure out how to articulate it. This is just the point in the rebuild where we are more talented than we were last year. We're starting to see an upswing in especially on the offensive end, man. This offense actually looks halfway decent. So we're getting pressure. And we had a lot of pressure last night. We spent a lot of time in their zone. But we don't have the personnel yet. We're just not far along in the rebuild. We don't have the personnel on this roster to take advantage of said opportunities that we are creating at this point. We're on an upswing. We absolutely are better than we were last year. It's hard not to be. The offense is actually kind of respectable. That being said, we simply just don't have the players on the team yet to take advantage of those opportunities and put the puck in the back of the net. That's all. That's just where we're at right now. And it's not a slight on anyone. It's nobody's fault, I guess. Like as much as I think Blashill needs to go and you know, Blash to the trash, like as much as that's still my mindset, that is not even on Blashill. This is just, we're a young team. We're an up-and-coming team. We're still in the middle of a rebuild. These are the kind of games, a rebuilding loss is what I call it. These are the kind of games where a year and a half to 2 years from now, we win this game by a goal or two. Just we don't have the pieces yet. Don't have the pieces yet offensively. The other thing that's horrible, though, is just back to negativity, is the power play. The power play is a joke. And that's famously has been a joke, right? That this is not new or news to anyone. This power play is unbelievably horrible. So, like, I often sit up late at night and ask myself, what's worse? The defense or the power play? And I have trouble coming up with an answer, which I think is maybe even sadder because they're both so unbelievably horrible. I don't want to just keep talking about nonsense here, but the power play is horrible. The penalty kill obviously failed. That's the reason we lost. I mean, we lost because we couldn't score, but that's how they got the lead, rather. So the PK was tough. The power play. Here's the thing with the power play. Again, we're in their zone. We're in their zone. You know, as you know, last year on the power play, we were giving up short-handers, and it looked like we had to be on the power play to make it an even strength game. That's what it looked like last year. At least this year, we're in their zone. We're applying pressure. It's just no one can get the puck in the back of the net. And again, we're just not at a point where personnel-wise we have the pieces to take advantage of those opportunities yet. But I will say I'm impressed with the opportunities we're getting. I think we actually are coming up and putting together a really respectable offensive product, which is something I haven't been able to say in a couple of years. The defense is still horrid. Individual players, Giovanni Smith had a pretty quiet game, which is rare for him. But he had a pretty quiet game. Had a really bad turnover at one point. Pretty quiet game. Mantha had like 3 shots in a row at one point, all one-timers from the crease, and I'm pretty sure Bobrovsky padded all of them, I want to say. He definitely knee padded 2 of them. But he had 4 shots on the night, and 3 of them were all in like a 30-second stretch. And then besides that, Mantha was kind of just like out there. We're still trying to kind of see a little bit more out of Mantha. I still want to see more. I want to see more. This is a guy that I still think has the potential to be a goal a game player, and it's just, man, I just want him to be good so bad. I think his scoring ability, he might be the most talented player on the Red Wings. It doesn't look like it every night. Larkin was nice. Larkin was solid. I believe he had the assist on the one goal. Yeah, Larkin and look, Larkin is Larkin. He's gonna bring it. The post game, he's back to babyface, by the way, which I think is interesting. But he, those post game interviews break my heart, man. He clearly just wants to win, and it's so tough to be the captain of such a bad team. I can't imagine. Zadina, that was a hell of a goal. That was a hell of a goal. He's gonna be so good, man. He's gonna be so good. Some people jumped off the bandwagon of him when he wasn't putting up like hat tricks in like his debut games. People are like, oh, this is not the guy we wanted. I can see why he fell to us in the draft. Blah blah blah. He's good, man. He's good. That goal was interesting. His goal was interesting. He set himself up super nicely. That was a super nice move. Kicked it off the skate to set himself up off the skate, and then put it in the back. The thing is, Bobrovsky just went brain neutral there. That is not a goal that should have gone in. We probably should have got shut out. And Bob played on his head in the second and third periods. But, man, that first period, he really looked bad, and that was kind of the exclamation point of how bad he looked. I don't know if he just didn't pick it up or if he didn't realize that he had kicked it off his skate and the puck was back on the end of his stick. I don't know what happened. But he got him right just under the armpit, and Bob didn't even move. He just like after the puck was already in the back of the net, that like he must just not have picked it up or something, because it was really bad goaltending there, by a one of the best goaltenders of probably the last decade. And yeah, obviously he's taken a mighty fall the last 2 years, but that's still a great goalie that doesn't, if he gives up shots, it's not looking like that. That's for sure. So Zadina, that was nice. I'm trying to think of any other individual performances. Grice, man, again, I just feel bad for him. It's 4-on-1s, bro. Like that's and he saved that one. The 4-on-1 didn't even end up as a goal. It's just, my gosh. I think I just want to reiterate this, and then we'll head on to the Lions. I want to reiterate that Brome and Smith getting sent down to the taxi squad every game and then called back up, we need to stop getting mad about that. It's because they're two-way players. It saves the team money if they're not permanently on the team and they go down and up like that. And because of COVID, there's no limit to how many times you can go down and up, and they don't have to clear waivers because, again, they're two-way players. So if you were to send another player down that was a full-time NHLer, they would have to clear waivers and such, and that's just not something that's going to happen. So we need to collectively, and I was right there with everybody at the beginning of this. I was like, why is he just not on the roster the whole time? He's playing every game, until he gets sent down and then doesn't get called back up. Then we can be mad. We can be pissed. We can talk about how they're trying to lose and how stupid Blashill is. Okay, but until they don't get recalled back up, we just need to let them be. It's going to be clockwork. It's going to happen at the end of every game, and they're going to get recalled 6 hours before the start of the next game. It's just going to happen because that's how their contracts are set up, and that's how this weird year they're taking advantage of this weird ass season that's in our presence. So no need to freak out. Like I said, unless they send Giovanni Smith should be playing every game. I know he has to get sent down and up and down and up and down and up, and like I said, that's I think that is a valid reason to do what they're doing. I think there is a valid reason. That being said, if he gets sent down and stays down, then we riot because he absolutely deserves to be playing every night. Absolutely deserves to be playing every night. He's a two-way player that didn't start the season, on the roster, and he's been one of the best players. He absolutely deserves it. So, until that happens, let's just trust that if he gets sent down, he's going to come back up. All right, let's just trust that for now. All right, lastly, the Detroit Football Lions. Only two things to talk about over the last couple of days. One, we have officially signed Antwaan Randle L2 be the wide receivers coach of the Detroit Lions. This is a long line of former players being hired to be coach of this team. Campbell and Holmes clearly have a vision, and that is to bring accountability and former players into this locker room. This is just a long line of that. Antwaan was the man back in the day. Had a solid, respectable NFL career. I think he played 8 or 9 years. I remember him for Pittsburgh. I'm pretty sure he played for the Washington football team, I want to say. But most people remember him for the Steelers. But then even before that, he was a dog at Indiana. A dog. You want to have a fun evening, go look up Randle L. Indiana highlights. Or just look up his stats. Dude was nutty. Pretty sure he made all conference a couple of times, all Big Ten a couple of times. He was that dude back in the collegiate days. And again, not to say he wasn't in the NFL. He had a really solid NFL career, but he was a dog. Second round pick. He was a dog back at Indy, man. He was a dog. So I love this hire, and again, I've loved all the coaching hires. Honestly, I think we have. I say the same thing about the Tigers. I think we tripped and fell into one of the best coaching staffs in football. And the head of it is still a big question mark, admittedly. Dan Campbell is still a giant question mark. I'll be the first to admit that. But the pieces they have put around him, if he doesn't succeed, it's not going to be anyone else's fault but his own. Excuse me. It's not going to be anyone else's fault but his own if he doesn't exceed, because the rest of this staff they have put around him, I think, is phenomenal. Phenomenal. I can't get over how happy I am about both sides of the ball, and even like this, signings like this, hires like this, individual position coaches. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love the culture that they're trying to instill here. I love the feel. And I know, man, it sounds like I'm drinking the blue Kool-Aid, which Lord knows I've been let down. But I don't expect this team to win. That being said, I say the same thing about the Lions I say about the Tigers, man. You can instill a winning culture and not win games. It's possible. It takes a hell of a head coach. It takes a hell of a system, but it's possible. And I think A.J. Hinch is going to do that in Detroit. And I'm starting to have faith that this coaching staff can do that in Detroit with the Lions as well. You can lose and still have everybody in your locker room wake up every morning and when they show up to work, believe that they're going to win. The 2019 Tigers did not. They didn't. And Lord knows plenty of Lions teams have not. But the most recent and obvious, I should say, example of that is the 2019 Tigers. You can tell they showed up to work. They expected to lose. There was no emotion when they took a lead because they all expected to blow it. team lost 114 games. You can suck and you can lose. Jim Leyland had a great quote when he took over as manager of the Tigers in 2006. That team was 3 years removed from the second worst season in the history of baseball at 119 losses and was in the World Series. And early on, the Tigers got off to a hot start, and they kind of started fading in late May, early June. I talked about this with Chris Castellani the other night. It started fading, and somebody asked Leland about it, and he went off. He said it's unacceptable, it's ridiculous. This player, to the not national, but to the Detroit media, to their faces, called individual players out and said these people are responsible and need to be better. And everybody's like, whoa, this is clearly not Alan Trammell anymore. And at the end, he said, we're going to play this game with accountability, and we're going to try and win every day. And I don't know, and the end of this is the important part. The end of this quote, he said, I don't know how things were done before, but they're sure as hell not going to be done that way anymore. That is the kind of mindset that you're looking for in a coach. Especially on a rebuilding team. And I think that this coaching staff that they have brought, truly, I think that that's the kind of mindset we can instill in this. Culture is such a buzzword now. It's something to get clicks, and it's something to, people like to say it to sound smart. But that it's, I'm just basically going to call myself an idiot. It's important. It's so important when you have a rebuilding team. It's so important. You don't go from and that's why I get so frustrated with the Tigers rebuild. You don't go from just sucking for half a decade and then waking up one offseason and going, well, I guess we're going to try to be good now and just spend a lot of money and call all the prospects up. It's not how it works in any sport. You don't just go from, Patricia culture of, I hate this guy. I don't want to play for this dude. I don't even want to play well because I hate this MFer so much. To waking up one morning and going, I'm the starting outside linebacker, but looking at the rest of this roster, I think we could actually be good now, so now I'm going to start giving a damn. It's not how it works. You instill that culture when you're bad so that when you're good, your job remains the same. You treat this. Look at our schedule. Oh my gosh, our schedule release too. It's brutal. We're about to go on what's probably going to be a season that lands us a top 3 pick in the draft next year. Right? It's important to have the same mindset every day when you're going through that season than you are when you come out at the other side of the tunnel and you're a playoff team. That's so important and so overlooked. And I realized the last 5 minutes I've probably sounded like the most cliche dude on the planet, but I truly believe that is a very important part of coaching. And at a very minimum, you just got to get people bought in. You got to have people bought in. You got to have your players believe in the system. And again, you can lose 13 games and still have a winning culture. I know it sounds weird, but that's real and true. You can lose 100 games in baseball and still have a winning culture. A.J. Hinch literally did it with the Astros. You play competitive games that you just don't have the talent to get over the hump with yet, you end up losing. You're going to wake up the next day, go about your week of practice like you're going to win, lose again on Sunday. Don't let it faze you. Practice again. Practice like you're going to win. Again, I realize how cliche and cheesy this all sounds. I totally understand. You can go ahead and make fun of me. That is fine. But that I truly think that is super important. And the reason that I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid on being a good team this year, but I'm drinking the Kool-Aid on this coaching staff being the coaching staff that makes us relevant again in a couple of years. I'm very excited for the staff. This is just a long line of successful hires, in my opinion, that we have made this offseason. Last thing we're going to talk about for the Lions and for the show, Kenny Golladay. Kenny. I'll start off by saying this. I love Kenny Golladay, as I'm pretty sure everybody does. Kenny Golladay, it's weird. I'm not even sure I have an answer for what I want us to do with him, which I know is kind of the whole point of having a show, so like I apologize, but I kind of just more want to break down all the different possibilities that could happen with him because there are low-key a ton. So, for starters, I think this is the most likely. I think the most likely scenario is we tag him this year, and then he's not on the team, whether that's not re-signing or via a trade. He's not on the team in 2022. I think that is probably the most realistic. Maybe I shouldn't say most realistic. I think that has the highest % chance of happening. I think we're going to tag him this year because he's going to have to. A, we don't have any other wide receivers. And B, he's damn good. He deserves whatever the tag is going to be set at this year. He deserves it. He's a damn good player. So I think you tag him this year. And then assuming he stays healthy, I think you can get to a point where you get to the trade deadline halfway through next year and you say, okay, we can flip him, try to get some picks, half a year of control for a Pro Bowl caliber wide receiver. Sure. Can give you a couple mid-round picks, maybe mid or late round picks. You're not going to get a first out of them or anything like that, but the nice third, fourth round pick, fourth and a seventh, something like that, which is valuable, especially if you're not going to re-sign him anyway. So I'm going to start with that. I think that's the possibility that's the greatest chance of happening. You also could just extend him. And I wouldn't be opposed to this because if you look at the wide receiver room, no one is under contract past this upcoming season. Not one wide receiver on this team is under contract past the 2021 season. So if you were to pay him and give him a 5-year deal, at least at least we're gonna have a wide receiver, so that's nice. Now, with the Goff deal, and we still got some money floating around on the defensive end too, I'm not sure how willing the front office is going to be of spending that much money on a team that's going to suck. But, again, we literally don't have a receiver locked up after next year. Next season, I should say. So, I'd be okay with it. If the salary was of correct value, and I agreed with the valuation of how much he's getting paid, I guess I'd be fine with it. It's just I don't really know if I see the front office doing that. With a rebuilding teams having that much money locked up in like 4 players would be an interesting decision. Not one I'd be opposed to though. Then we just let him go this year, which I don't think is happening. You can't trade him right now because he's not under contract. So you can't trade him right now. You could tag him and then trade him, I guess. But I think it's more likely because of how much time he missed that if you were to tag him, you would not be able to trade him until other teams saw him play at the start of next season. So I think that's probably, again, going back to the original one, more likely than... we literally can't move him right now, again, because he literally can't trade someone with 0 years of control. there is a slight probability that we just don't bring him back. We don't re-sign him. We don't tag him. We say we don't want to spend money. We're going all in on the rebuild. Um, I I don't think I would be down for that, and I would understand the logic, but I think it just makes way more sense to tag him, bite the bullet on an expensive 1-year deal. Because, look, even if, okay, let's just say he sucks. Or maybe not even that he sucks. Let's just say that he... Okay, well, yeah, let's say he sucks. Let's say he sucks, he's worth nothing at the deadline. Okay, we overpaid for 1 year. We let him walk at the end of the season. Doesn't hurt our cap for the future. It's a 1-year thing. We're not bringing in any big-name free agents this offseason anyway. We can afford to bite the bullet on a 1-year deal as long as it is only a 1-year deal, okay? Then, let's say the injury problems come back up. Same logic as just stated. Doesn't really matter. As long as it's a 1-year thing, right? As long as it's a franchise tag, that's not a problem. Doesn't really matter. You can more than afford to bite the bullet and eat that salary, take your L, and then have it completely off the books going forward. Okay? Again, paying Kenny this year does not matter because we are not in the mix for any big-name free agent at all. We're in the middle of a rebuild. And the reward of getting anything for him at the deadline, anything, even if it's a 6th-round pick, I'd rather have a 6th than have him be on the team 1 year on a 3 or 4 win team and then just walk for nothing. If we were competitive, obviously I'd want us to pay him. We aren't. So I think the value play is to tag him and flip him. Now, whether you flip him week 3 or week 8, I don't give a damn. Whatever gets you the most value. But it makes, I think the best value play is tagging him. And then, you know, because even if you trip and this won't happen, I'm not trying to get anyone's hopes up. But then let's just say by some Christmas miracle, Santa Claus comes down from the heavens and wishes everybody in Detroit one wish, and we say, Lions be good. And he says, okay, bet. Like, then, you know, we have a number 1 receiver. And again, that's not going to happen. We're not going to be competitive. This team blows. This defense is unrepairable currently. But the versatility that comes with tagging him is way greater than just letting him walk for, like, no money. So that's my opinion. I guess I've talked myself into it. At the beginning, I said I wasn't really sure what I even wanted to do. I think I talked myself into it. I want us to tag him. What we do after that is all situational, circumstantial. But at a bare minimum, I think you tag him. And then look, even if you tag him and then you don't move him at the deadline and you talk with his agent, you think you can get a bargain off of him, well, then there you go. You tag him and then next offseason you extend him. That's a whole nother avenue that's possible. I think the versatility, this is the same way I talked about why I think the Rams trade was the best deal we got. The versatility that comes with 2-round picks and the amount of things you can do with 2 first-round picks is much better than just getting 8 this year. It's the same thing. Tagging him opens, what did we just say, 4 different avenues, 3-4 different avenues you could take with him for the future. Letting him walk for nothing, obviously, is only one option, and it's that. And extending him now, again, I wouldn't be opposed to it. That's like my middle-of-the-road option. You know, at least we'd have a receiver under contract past tomorrow. But, like, I think if you want to extend him, he didn't really play this year because of the injury. Why would you not tag him, make sure he's good, and then extend him? I don't know. I think tagging him makes a lot of sense. All right. That will do it for this episode, which means that will do it for this show. Episode 6 of the Bentley Show is in the books. Thank you so much for listening. The support continues to be immense. I've had a lot of people reach out to me about other opportunities and stuff, and that's all due to this. So I am so happy that I got to do this. I'm so happy that I have an audience that wants to listen. I have people asking me when episodes are dropping and stuff. Here's the thing. Also, I just want to make this clear. The reason that there's no like set time on when it comes out currently is because I'm recording this on Wednesday. Usually I like to record the day before so I can edit, upload it overnight. It's in your ears whenever you wake up. But last night was weird because, and so was Monday. I wasn't going to record before the big game, the big NFL game. Okay? I wasn't going to record before that. I wanted to talk about that, obviously. And then again, with today, I could have recorded this yesterday, but the Wings and Pistons played Tuesday night. I would have had nothing to talk about for the Pistons and the Wings had I recorded before those two games, and they both played. So the reason that, some days are later than others is just really look at the schedule the night before, and you'll see, okay, well, if 3 teams all play the night before, he's probably going to record in the morning. If nobody plays tonight, it's recorded and it'll be up. I'm trying to get more consistent. I'm trying to get more, recording earlier in the day so that even on days that I do record the day of, I can still get it out a little bit earlier. But it's hard for me to, the difference between those two things is great, and I need as much to talk about as possible. So if 2 teams play in the same night, it's more times than not, I'm going to need to record it the day of, so that's all. But thank you again. We're here, episode 6 in the books. Like I said, thank you so much for listening. Review. If your platform lets you review and leave comments and stuff, please do. It means the world. I've already had quite a few, and they've been overwhelmingly positive so far. If your name is Keith Law, please don't reply or leave a review because I know yours will be negative. If you don't know what I'm talking about, basically Keith Law is a baseball writer, and I disagreed with him on something, and he freaked out and cried about it. So that's fun. Anyway, peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. Peace and love. Thank you for listening. I will be back in your eyes and ears Friday. Go Detroit Sports, baby.